80 years. That is how long the trial lasted. 80 years of divine litigation, bizarre contests, sexual assault, magical tricks, mutilations, and political maneuvering. The ensuing trial spanned 80 years, marked by deception, violence, and divine politics. The question before the court: who should rule Egypt? Horus, son of the murdered Osiris, the rightful heir by blood and law, or Set, brother of Osiris, who had already claimed the throne by force and argued his strength made him worthy. You know the background. Osiris murdered, Isis devoted, Horus raised in hiding, taught by his dead father in visions, trained for this moment. Now grown, Horus stood before the gods and declared, "The throne is mine by right. My father was king. I am his son. Maat demands justice." Set argued his strength made him the rightful king, boasting of his nightly battles against Apophis, Ra's serpentine foe. "I defend Ra every night," Set proclaimed. "I pierce Apep's side, while the rest of you cower. I am the strongest god. Strength, not blood, should determine kingship." And the gods? Divided, arguing, unable to agree. So they did what seemed reasonable. They would test both claimants, put them through trials, see who proved most worthy. What followed was the strangest, most violent, most sexually bizarre defying contest in any mythology, and I watched every moment of it. Let me show you what legitimacy costs. What it means to prove you deserve to rule, and why sometimes the rightful heir must earn what should be freely given. This is Horus versus Set, the 80-year war for Egypt's soul. Before we judge Set too harshly, understand what he represents. Seth was the patron god of Upper Egypt, the god of the desert, storms, chaos, foreigners, and the untamed wilderness. He murdered Osiris. Yes, that is unforgivable by any moral standard. But Set was not simply evil. He was chaos, is Set, the necessary force that breaks stagnant order so new patterns can emerge. And Set had a legitimate point. He boasted of his nightly battles against Apophis, Ra's serpentine foe. Every night, while other gods slept, Set fought. While Ra travelled through the Duat, Set defended him, a chaos god protecting the sun god from the serpent of chaos. The paradox was real. Chaos serving Maat, disordered fending order. "Who among you," Set demanded, "fights Apep? Who keeps the sun rising? I do. Every single night. Horus is untested, young. He has hidden his whole life while I have ruled Egypt. While I have kept the cosmos functioning, strength determines kingship, and I am strongest." From a Gnostic perspective, Set represents something profound, the demiurgic force that maintains the material world through violence and control, not the highest god, not pure spirit, but the power that keeps matter organized, that prevents total dissolution into chaos, necessary, useful, but not legitimate in the highest sense. Set could rule. He was ruling. But should he rule? That is the question the trial must answer. Horus countered that inheritance, not might, should determine kingship. "My father was Osiris, the perfect king. Maat demands that son succeed father. This is law. This is order. This is how succession works. Set murdered the rightful king, seized power. That is not strength. That is usurpation, chaos pretending to be order." Isis, ever the devoted mother, argued passionately, "My son was born to be king. Osiris prepared him, taught him from beyond death." Horus represents legitimate succession, the proper transfer of power, Maat, itself. Horus, ancient Egyptian god of kingship and the sky, was usually depicted as a falcon, or a man with a falcon head. His very form declared his nature, the god who sees all, who soars above, who embodies sovereignty. Here is the deeper truth. The ancient Egyptians believed that the pharaoh was the manifestation of Horus in life and Osiris in the afterlife. This trial was not just about two gods. It was establishing the principle of Egyptian kingship itself. If Horus wins, succession follows bloodline, law. divine mandate. Order transfers peacefully. Ma'at prevails. If Set wins, succession follows strength, power. Whoever can seize and hold the throne. Chaos determines order. Might makes right. The Gnostics would understand this immediately. Horus represents pneumatic inheritance, spiritual authority that descends from the divine realm. Set represents hylic power, material force that holds the throne through violence and control of matter. Both exist, both have claims, but they are not equal. One is legitimate. The other is merely effective. The trial must determine, does legitimacy matter or only power? The first trial was Set's choice, transform into hippopotami and submerge in the Nile. First to surface, loses. I remind you, this is how the gods decided who should rule Egypt, competitive breath-holding in hippo form. But there was deeper meaning. Seth had an advantage over Horus in hippo form. The hippopotamus, Set's sacred animal, powerful, dangerous, lord of the water's depths. This was Set's terrain. His test, designed to prove his dominance. Isis, desperately wanting her son to be pharaoh, magically created a copper harpoon, which she threw into the water. She could not let Set win. So she intervened. Aim was off, though, and she hit Horus instead of Set. Horror on her face. She pulls it out, throws again, this time hitting Set. This time, it sunk into the body of Set. But the injured god appealed to Isis as her brother, and she caved and helped him. Family loyalty. Even when your brother murdered your husband, even when he is trying to steal your son's throne. Isis removed the harpoon from Set, freed him, and Horus, righteous heir, legitimate king, perfect Osiris' son, cut off Isis' head, carried it up a mountain, and tossed it away. The rightful heir decapitated his own mother in rage. Let that sink in. This is your hero, your legitimate king, the one who represents Ma'at. The Egyptians did not sanitize their myths. They showed you, even the rightful heir is flawed, even divine authority makes terrible choices, even Ma'at contains violence. Perfection is not required for legitimacy. Worthiness must be proven through ordeal, through failure, through learning. The trial continues. What I am about to describe is sexual assault. The myth does not frame it that way. Ancient Egyptians had different concepts of sexuality and power, but we should name it clearly. This is about dominance. About Set trying to establish superiority through violation. Set was not discriminate in his liaisons. In the world of ancient Egypt, there was not any real conception of homosexuality. What mattered was who was the top, as that proved dominance over the other person. This was not about sexual orientation. This was about power. Set, attempting to prove superiority through sexual dominance. But Horus was warned. He caught the seed, went to his mother. Isis, horrified, cut off Horus's hands, contaminated with Set's essence, and threw them in the Nile. She then gave Horus new hands through magic. Then, because Isis was always 3 steps ahead, she devised a counter-strategy. Lettuce. In ancient Egypt, lettuce was not considered a part of one's salad, but rather an aphrodisiac, sacred to main, ot fertility. When cut, lettuce oozes white milky substance. You see where this is going. Set returned, according to his daily habit, and ate the lettuce, which he regularly ate. Thereupon he became pregnant with the seed of Horus. Before the Ennead, Set proclaimed triumph. I have performed the labor of a male against Horus. I have dominated him. This should prove his superiority, his right to rule. Thoth, god of magic and wisdom, decided to test the claim. Thoth bit his hand on Horus's shoulder and said, "Come out, you seed for Set." It answered him instead from the marsh along the Nile, where Isis had dumped it. Set's seed called out, from the Nile, where Isis had thrown it. The god then put his hand on Set's shoulder and said, "Come out, you seed of Horus." And from inside Set's body, Horus's seed answered. Deeming itself too important to flow out of Set's ear, the divine seed emerged from his head in the form of a golden solar disk. The the dominance was reversed. The penetrator became the penetrated. Set's claim of superiority was exposed as Set's humiliation. Isis's cleverness defeated Set's violence. The mother protected her son. The feminine outwitted the masculine, and the trial continued. Set's revenge came while Horus slept. Set, taking advantage of the opportunity, gouged out the left eye of the falcon god and cut it into 6 pieces. He then threw them into the Nile, not killed, but blinded. A god whose very nature is seeing, falcon eyes that perceive all, left sightless. Taking pity on the blinded boy, the cow-headed goddess Hathor came to Horus's aid, pouring gazelle milk on his wounds and restoring his sight. But the eye itself, the left eye, the moon eye, remained scattered. Thoth, wanting the final test to be fair, tried to reform the eye of Horus, yet he only managed to recover 5 pieces. Thoth therefore decided to forge a 6th enchanted piece, which, combined with the other 5, became the Ujitat eye, an eye enabling its bearer to perceive the future of the world, the Eye of Horus. The Wedjat, one of Egypt's most powerful symbols. The reconstructed eye became symbol of healing, what was broken, made whole, protection, warding off evil, royal power, the pharaoh's divine sight, restoration, loss transformed into gift, the moon's phases, waning and waxing, death and rebirth. The left eye of Horus was known as the Wadjet, meaning the whole, completed, or uninjured eye. The Gnostics would see this immediately, the divine vision fragmented by material chaos, requiring wisdom, thoth, and magic to restore. You are the scattered eye. Your consciousness is the 6 pieces thrown into the Nile of matter. The spiritual path is Thoth's work, gathering the fragments, adding what is missing, making you whole again. The Eye of Horus is every initiate's journey, from fragmentation to wholeness, from blindness to sight, from material imprisonment to spiritual vision. Horus did not just regain his eye, he gained the Wedjat, sight that perceives beyond the physical. He became worthy through wounding. Seth and Horus's war lasted for over 80 years, and it featured multiple skirmishes on land and in the water. They also competed in various contests to prove their strength, skill, wisdom, or legitimacy. Let me show you some of them. The stone boat race, boats that cannot float by definition. A test of who could cheat more cleverly. Horus, trying his hand at cunning, discreetly built a wooden boat covered with limestone plaster resembling black stone. Set, taking the challenge literally, carved his boat from an actual mountain. Set's stone boat sank instantly. The gods laughed. Horus's boat floated. But when Set transformed himself into a hippopotamus, attacked Horus on his boat, which breaks on all sides, revealing the deception. The interior of the boat is made of wood. Both cheated. Both were exposed. Neither won this trial. They transformed into hippopotamuses, or other animals. They tried to impregnate each other. They argued before various tribunals of gods. They weighed their hearts on scales. They measured their shadows. They played board games. They exchanged riddles. They fought with harpoons or knives. 80 years of this, divine slapstick meets cosmic drama, and through it all, the Ennead remained divided. No clear winner emerging. Both gods proving aspects of worthiness. Both gods revealing flaws. Set powerful, but murderous, defender of Ra, but killed Osiris. Strong, but illegitimate. Horus, rightful heir, but violent. Legitimate, but untested. Lawful, but still learning. Neither perfect, both necessary. The trial revealing the kingship requires more than one quality, until finally, someone made the decision no living god could make. After 80 years, the deadlock remained. So the gods did something unprecedented. They consulted the dead, seeking a final verdict. The judges decided to appeal to Osiris, who now ruled the underworld. Osiris, from his throne in the realm of the dead, sent word to the living gods, "My son Horus is the rightful king. This is law. This is Mart. Give him what belongs to him, or I will send the demons of the underworld to drag you into the darkness. Not surprisingly, Osiris argued that his son, Horus, deserved to be pharaoh. The murdered king, speaking from death, demanding justice, the father intervening for his son, the one who knows death intimately, declaring who deserves to rule the living. Seth, in chains, as a prisoner, finally conceded. Not because Horus proved stronger, not because Set was weaker. Because legitimacy was finally acknowledged, because Mamat demanded it. Because the dead spoke with authority the living could not challenge, Horus became king, not through victory in combat, not through superior strength, but through rightful inheritance, confirmed through 80 years of testing, validated by the dead, accepted even by his enemy. At the end of the story, Horus manages to defeat Seth in battle, and Isis brings him to his son in shackles. But showing how magnanimous he was, Horus orders that Seth should be set freed. Why? This goes to show not only that he was a fair and benevolent king, but that cosmic order, according to Egyptians, could not survive were it not for chaos. Here is what the 80-year trial was really about, not determining who should rule. That was always Horus. Law demanded it. The trial was determining, can the rightful heir prove himself worthy? Can legitimacy be combined with capability? Can law and power unite in one being? And why does Set survive? Why is not he destroyed for murdering Osiris? Because chaos cannot be eliminated, only balanced, only integrated, only given proper role. Set was assigned to guard the solar bark, to defend Ra against Apep, to serve Maat by being controlled chaos rather than wild chaos. Every night, Set still fights Apep. The chaos god still defends the sun god. The one who represents Isfet still serves Maat. This is Egyptian wisdom. You do not destroy a chaos, you direct it. You harness it, you give it purpose. Set becomes Horus's servant, not his equal, not his partner, but his necessary opposite, the shadow that proves the light is real. The Christians would later tell this story as St. George slaying the dragon, Michael casting out Satan, Christ trampling the serpent. But notice, in Egyptian cosmology, the dragon isn't slain. It is integrated, controlled, given proper function. The Gnostics understood this better. The demiurge, Set, creates and maintains the material world. Not the highest god, but necessary for manifestation. Not to be destroyed, but to be transcended, while still functioning. And from this trial forward, the pattern was set. Every living pharaoh was Horus, literally, not like Horus, not representing Horus. Each pharaoh was the incarnation of Horus on earth. When they died, they became Osiris, lord of the underworld, judge of the dead, and when their son took the throne, he became Horus, reclaiming his father's throne, reenacting primordial victory. Every coronation was this trial happening again. Every succession was Horus versus Set. Every new king had to prove, I am the legitimate heir. I combine law with power. I unite Upper and Lower Egypt, the double crown. I am worthy. The myth became the machinery of kingship. The story became the state. For 3,000 years. So what does this myth mean for you? You are not a pharaoh. You are not fighting your uncle for a throne. Why should you care about an 80-year trial that happened in Egyptian imagination? Because you are Horus. You are the rightful heir to consciousness, to your divine inheritance, to the throne for your own life. But inheritance is not enough. Birthright is not sufficient. You must prove worthy. The trials you face are not arbitrary. They are testing whether you can unite legitimacy with capability, whether you can combine your divine origin with practical power, whether you can rule yourself. Set is your chaos, your violence, your capacity for destruction, your shadow self. You cannot destroy him, but you must defeat him, must prove that Maat guides you more than Isfet, must establish order as primal, chaos' servant. Your eye is scattered, your vision fragmented. Matter and suffering have broken your divine sight into pieces. Spiritual path is recovering those pieces, gathering what was lost, accepting the part that must be magically created because it is truly gone. And then, with the reconstructed eye, seeing beyond the physical, perceiving the future, understanding the pattern, the Gnostics knew you are pneumatic, spiritual, divine in origin. You have the right to rule your own consciousness, but you must prove it, through trial, through testing, through confronting your set, your chaos, your shadow, not once, not in a moment. Through 80 years of testing, or in human terms, through a lifetime of becoming worthy of what you already are by birthright. Horus won, but victory was the trial, not the reward. Becoming worthy was the point, not the crown. You are Horus, rightful heir, divine son, legitimate king by your consciousness. But Set still waits, chaos still challenges, the trial continues. Every day you wake, you are Horus reclaiming the throne. Every challenge you face is another test of worthiness. Every shadow you integrate is Set being assigned proper role. The 80-year trial never ends. It just transforms from myth into life. Prove yourself worthy, not of what you want, of what you already are. The trial is over. The throne is claimed. Mars prevails. But Set still serves. Chaos still functions. The balance holds. And every pharaoh who ever ruled, every king who ever claimed divine right, every leader who ever said, I am legitimate, performing this myth, living this trial, proving they were Horus, or failing and proving they were pretenders. The eye watches, sees all, knows who is worthy. Are you?